Hello and welcome to Whisky Resource. My name is Mark and this is Whisky Review number 15. So today I'm going to be looking at another single malt whisky. It's going to be from the age statement category. I've been doing a series of age statement whiskies that have been around 10-year-old. So this continues with the 10-year-olds. I will be doing a few more and then potentially moving on to other age statements. But at the moment I'm to the 10-year-olds. So the 10-year-old I'm looking at today is Jura 10. I've had this bottle, as you can see here, it's almost gone, down to the last fifth I suppose. It is a half bottle, 350cl. So Jura, it comes from the Isle of Jura. It is owned by White and Mackay, who are owned, if you remember from my previous video about the White and Mackay blended Scotch whisky, are owned by the company Emperador. The Jura, I'm not going to go much into the distillery history. There's going to be some notes on the review on the webpage if you want to have a look a bit more about that. But this particular whisky, it's a 40% ABV. It is chill filtered. It has colour. It has an average retail price of £34.45. Obviously this is a small bottle. I think I picked this up for somewhere around £10 well over a year ago. It was one of the first 5 bottles of whisky I bought. So the value score, because of chill filtering, the ABV, colour, it gets a value score of 83.76. So it's kind of on par with a lot of the 10-year-olds. They tend to all be chill filtered. They all tend to sit at around 40% ABV, and they tend to have colour. There are some exceptions. The Springbank that I reviewed recently, that sits quite highly, and then there is the I can't remember. I had another one, didn't I? I had another 10-year-old. Anyway, the links will be up there. They scored quite highly, but this one scores quite low, to be honest. So I'm not going to dwell too much on it. I'm going to go straight into the tasting notes. I've not had this one for quite some time. I've not had any tastings of it for quite some time. So it'd be a bit of a memory jogger for me, this one. Malty, honey, very sweet, very sweet. A bit of spice going on there, peat, some smokiness. The sweetness is honey. There's a bit of fruit going on there, the kind of pears and apples. The overwhelming sensation when you first start to smell it is the sweet fruit, and then you get the smokiness sits on top of that, and then if you do hang around a little bit longer on the nose, you get that spiciness coming through. It doesn't smell particularly young. You can get some of that alcohol from it, but not a lot. Now, I'm doing this a bit of a disservice given the size of the bottle, the amount that's gone. This is going to be well oxidised by now, so I do apologise for that. And if my review suggests that I'll buy another bottle, then I'll update me to tasting notes, because your first pour and your last pour are going to be very different experiences. I do have a little bit of an interesting story about Jura. I did buy a bottle of Juras Superstition. Again, it was a half bottle when Superstition was available, because I wanted to try whiskey again. It'd been many years since I had whiskey. I was drinking bourbon. This was been, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago, and I really couldn't get on with it. I really didn't like it. So much so, I gave the whole bottle to my brother. probably 1 or 2 drams from it, and I just decided again I just didn't like whiskey, so I handed him a drink. Since then, I love it. I love whiskey now. So yeah, it's a pleasant enough nose on the palate. Okay, so it starts sweet and fruity, orchard fruits maybe, apples and pears like on the nose. Then it gets salty, briny. You get the honey sweetness running through, and that gets very smoky and briny, with the maritime influence. That's undoubtedly coming through. Now, this particular whiskey is it uses first fill aged Oloroso butts from Juras in Spain, and it also uses aged American white oak bourbon casks. So it's very similar to the Glen Scotia double cask in that it's using a similar combination of finishes. The Glen Scotia doesn't have an age statement. This one does. However, it's a completely different taste. This has a salt and maritime influence to it, but it's nowhere near as intense as a Glen Scotia is, or even a Talisker. Interestingly though, Talisker sits at about 45.7 ABV, and the Glen Scotia sits at 46, so the higher strengths. I'm sure if this was at 46, that maritime influence would be a lot more noticeable, and this would be a hell of a better dram. A hell of a better dram. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of water in there. Probably need to put a little bit more than that. That was just a tiny drops. And we'll see what that does. Yeah, that's brought out more of the salt spray. More of that salty peatness. So, for a retail price of £34.45p, yes, you go to supermarkets and you can get it for less than that. As I said, about a year and a bit ago, I picked up the bottle for about £10. You could probably get it for about £25 for a full bottle when it's on best offer, if you shop around. If I was to see the same size bottle again for about £10, I would buy another one. I wouldn't buy a full size bottle simply because I wouldn't be going for it. I had been drinking that while my whiskey collection was quite small, but as my collection's grown and as I've expanded in palate, I found that I've been reaching for other bottles ahead of the Jura 10. I haven't tried any of the other Jura 10 age statement whiskies. Looking at the price of them, they do start to get quite heavy in price quite quickly. I do have a bottle of the Jura Journey, a full-size bottle. However, I'm not intending opening this. This is going to be another charity raffle donation. So I'm not going to experience that one. If I happen to come across a miniature of that, then I'll pick it up and I'll give it a try, but I'm not really planning on buying it. There's nothing wrong with no age statement whiskies, but when it comes to the scheme of what's available, I am trying to stick to age statement whiskies, and I'm trying to work my way through different age groups. So I've been looking at the 10-year-olds and trying some of them out, and I'll be moving on to maybe 12 or 15-year-olds at some point, and that's what I'll be focusing on. So as an overall score, I would say an 84 is fair for Jura 10-year-old. There we go. Thank you very much. See you guys.